put on your thinking cap and try to run with me, okay? And of course, if you have questions, interrupt me and ask, and we'll try to clarify. Okay. So yeah, I'm quite happy that you all now are quite comfortable. At least some of you are comfortable with conditional formatting, and you are able to you know, take up some challenges and try to find the solution. I advise you to try the examples, you know, the one I gave you. Try it until you figure it out, and if you can't, you can talk to each other and try to find a way to solve the problem, because it's absolutely necessary for you to understand conditional formatting, because it's actually very well used in the real world. Okay. So today we're going to be looking at formulas and functions. Okay. Let me open up Excel. So basically, a formula is just, well, as the name implies, is something that does some kind of operation, like an arithmetic operation, like 1 + 1, right? And Excel already automatically tells us that 1 + 1 is 2. And if you remember yesterday, I told you that the formula bar is where you can see your formulas and write them, okay? And of course, the cell will just evaluate the formula and tell you what it is, okay? So that's it, basically. Put stuff in there, no matter how large it is. Excel will just calculate it. And there are, you know, the different operators in Excel. I'll go back to the slide. In, you know, the normal operators in math, so addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you can do all of that in Excel. So if I did minus here, for example, it does a subtraction for me. If I did times here, it multiplies the numbers for me. Sorry, times. Yeah, it multiplies numbers for me. Let me take a smaller number. There we go. And then if I just did a division, division is just using a slash. Okay, and then it divides the number for me. Okay. Maybe I'll just go with a smaller one. There we go. All right. So yeah, I think that's pretty basic. And then formulas with cell referencing. If you had the values, for example, yeah, like the example we did just now. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where is it? It was the one on conditional formatting, this one. And we needed to do, if I needed to say, let me do that and say sum all scores, right? To see how many scores an individual has had. I can say that's equal to that plus that plus that. And then I have 255. What I've just done is I have referenced these cells, right? And the good thing is Excel pretty much tells us which cells we have referenced by highlighting it in these colors, okay? So if I wanted to change a reference, say I wanted to add another set of numbers, and this, by the way, you can move, right? If you hover your mouse on it, you see it turns into this black cross. And if you move it, so it means I'm doing 85 plus 88 plus 92 in this cell. And if I press enter, it gives me the total, okay? The sum. All right. And yeah, that's it about cell referencing, okay? The other thing is you can copy this. For example, if I wanted to do the same kind of sum here, I wouldn't have to, you know, do that again and say that plus that plus that. That's yeah, that's just manual work. I could just copy this one and come here and paste it, right? But you see, the thing is, it has now taken the new references, because this kind of reference is what we call a relative reference, right? And I'll explain what a relative reference is. It's just a reference that is relative to what you have selected. It's only relative. Absolute. So the other type of references are absolute references, where you kind of fix the location that you are collecting the formula from. And I'll try to explain that. So let me use this one. By the way, I'll just do it down here. Okay. Let's say I have these scores down here, right? And I have this reference here, which I said is relative. It's relative because it has now taken the new references. But if it was absolute, this one, for example, to make it absolute is to what we call lock the cells. And you do that using the $ on your keyboard like this. So what I've done is I've said, anywhere you copy this formula to, it must be looking at B and 2. Okay? That means if I copied this over to here, you see how this was B12, but if I paste it here, it's now, yeah, it's still B12. But if I pasted it, how can I explain this? Let me start again. Relative references will will change your columns and your rows as you copy them to other locations, but absolute references don't. Let's use only one cell. If I did that, equal B12, right? You can see it's equal into B12 here. But if I copied that same thing down here, now watch, maybe here. Now you see it's something totally different. It's no longer what was this? B2. Now it's B7, because what it has just done, it has said, well, you wanted me to go 1, 2, 3 steps back and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steps up to choose my reference. So it kind of takes a direction to where the cell is and says, that's my reference. But the thing is, if you copied it to another location, then it just pretty much does the same thing. Let me count this for you, right? So that's that and that, right? So it took these number of, I'll just put borders here so you can see it. So B2 says B on column B and on cell 2, right? Row 2. But for me, from here to get to that location, I have to move 3 steps back, and this is how many? 10 steps up, right? If you copy this to another location, Excel will try to do the same thing by moving 3 steps back and 10 steps up to get the reference of that location. Let's do that. If I copy this, now I said I'm explaining relative referencing, right? And I paste it here. You see, it's telling me 100 because it has gone 3 steps back. I put green color this time. And it has gone 10 steps up. And you see what it has done? It has hit this 100 because it is a relative reference, okay? And that's what it'll keep doing. If you move it somewhere else again, it'll just pretty much do the same thing. Now you see it's giving you an error because it can, of course, go 3 steps left. Let's use a different color this time around. But it's trying to go 10 steps up, but there's only 9 cells. That means you've already gone out of the range of Excel. So it's not able to find anything there. And then it says, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're looking for, okay? But if I just did Control Z and I moved a bit down to here, now I don't have the error anymore because it can indeed go 3 steps back and 10 steps up, and it hits this one. And the same thing, if I paste it here, you see what it does? It tells me science score because it has gone 3 steps back and 10 steps up to science score. This is what relative referencing is all about. It's a referencing relative to the position of the cell that you have selected. But the contrast of that is absolute referencing. I know it's a little bit confusing, but let me explain absolute and maybe you'll get it, okay? I'll leave those colors there, but now I'll use the same one here, okay? But this time around, I'm going to put the dollar signs I told you about. Dollar sign, dollar sign. What I've done now is I've said, irrespective of where you copy me to, I want to always reference exactly B2, this cell right here. I want to always be 85. So if I copy it and I paste it here, you see, it's still 85. And I paste it here, copy, it's still 85. So irrespective of where I paste it, it's going to be 85 because the reference is absolute. It must be B2, B2 every time. But the other one was a relative reference, and that's why the reference changes corresponding to the number of cells and columns away from the exact one that you have copied. Do you understand? Can somebody explain back to me what I've just explained?
I don't understand, sorry.
Okay. Does anyone understand it?
Yes.
Can you explain?
Basically, relative reference. If you have some numbers in the cell and you are trying to, okay, how do I put it? You have some numbers in the cell, you don't lock it. So if you put 85 on B cell and you say equal to B2, if you take that formula to another cell where it is E2, it's going to see a different number there. That's what relative reference does. It does not look up to a particular number, a particular cell. But for absolute reference, I'll give an example. For instance, I have a particular number to work with, like 7.5, and I want to multiply 7.5 on each column. What I do, I get my formula and I reference that particular cell, E2, and I lock it up with the dollar sign. So for every calculation I will do, it will always reference 7.5 because it has been locked up. That's what absolute is about.
Okay, very good. Let me explain again, okay? I know it's a little bit confusing. It was confusing for me as well when I started. Let's say, and I know, yeah, we're talking formulas today. So pattern score, I would say the pattern score is 50, okay, right? And I want to know if someone has passed or failed, okay? So I'll bring status here. So of course, let's only look at, I'll just delete the other ones for now, okay? Let's only look at math, okay? Now, if a score is above 50, this is my pattern score, let it be pass. And if it is less than 50, let it be fail. Now, I know I'm going to talk a little bit about formulas now. So there, I'm coming back to it, but let's say if, and if is a function. I talked a little bit about functions yesterday. If this score, okay, which is B5, is less than 50, and you see I can reference 50 instead of just typing 50 in. Then you can also see my formula helper here. It's telling me what value do you want to display if it's true. I want to display the value past. Okay, or past. And here it says value if false. This time around, I want to display fail. Okay. Now it says fail. And if as I said, you can copy the formula. Now watch what's going to happen and paste it. And it says everybody failed. Okay. But why? This guy is called, sorry, I'm missing it up. It's supposed to be fail here because if you're less than 50, you failed, right? And this is pass. There we go. So, So now you see, even the guy that got 10, it says the guy passed. But why? Now watch what's going to happen. If I click that, you can see that I'm referencing 50 here, right? Are you listening, Glory? Because it's particularly you, I want to hear this.
Yes, I am.
Very good. Now, if I looked at Bob, you can see what happened to my formula. You see, it doesn't stay at 50 anymore. It has gone one step down. That's because what I did was only relative referencing. So basically what happens is as I copy my formula down, it just moves one step down, right? Remember, I told you it just takes a relative position, which is 2 steps left, right, and the number of steps up to reach the cell that it's referencing. But because it's only relative, it keeps moving. So if I go to the last one, you see, it's looking at nothing, in fact. And that's why it says, oh, they all passed, right? Which is wrong. What I need to do is to make sure that every time I stick with 50. But of course, if you observe, the other one is also moving. This one is also moving. You see, now it's now at 100. But this is the behavior I want. I want it now to look at 100, not 85, 100, but I want it to stick with 50. Okay? Here, the same thing. But you see, it's moving on this side. So the blue one is okay. The blue one is B7, but the red one is bad because the red one is moving. That's where I need absolute referencing. So it means I have to put those dollar signs around E2. Let's do that. I'll put it around E and around 2. So that's now the updated formula. So I'll just copy it and replace what I had there before. You see what's going on now? Now someone has failed. And you see, every time, irrespective of which cell I've selected, I'm still on E2 because I have now absolutely referenced E2. Is that okay now?
Yeah, that's okay now.
Perfect. Very good. So that's basically it. Absolute. So, but this lock that we put here, you see, we're locking both E and 2. That means we're locking the column and the row. And maybe in future examples, we'll see some scenarios where it may be necessary only to lock the column, but you can leave the row to float and vice versa. Okay. But yeah, let's continue. So that's what cell referencing is all about. Okay. And I've already explained to you what how to copy formulas. You just basically copy the cell and put it somewhere else. I've explained to you what relative referencing is and what absolute referencing is. Now, mixed referencing is when it's kind of like what we did in the last example where we have on this cell, we have the blue one, which is relative, and the red one, which is absolute. So it's a mixture of both relative and absolute referencing in one cell, okay? But don't worry, I know this if statement might be a bit confusing for some of you, but I'll explain it later. All right. Let's look at some other, is any other questions, guys? Does anyone else have a question?
For the mixed referencing, it's had to do with you locking both the column and the cell together, right? That's what mixed reference is about. Locking
Yeah,
both together,
but like I said,
column
you
and
can lock,
row.
sometimes you can lock only the column or only the row, but it depends on the scenario, okay? And I don't want
Yes,
to get too complex into that yet because the others will not follow, okay?
yes, but my question is, this
Yeah.
is a mixed referencing.
For this particular formula, I have
Yes.
done relative here and I've done absolute here.
Okay,
But
so
in
it's
fact,
mixed.
the idea of mixed referencing is on one particular reference that we can do something like this, for example. Yeah, you see on that formula, I have not locked E, but I have locked 2. But still, it's not going to give me what I want because it's going to sometimes move to a different column. It seems okay here, but if I did something like that, then it becomes wrong because this time around it's looking at something else, you see. And don't worry, I don't wanna go into that for now. So we'll carry everybody along. Okay. Right. Now let's look at functions, some other functions. Yesterday we touched on some, okay? And there are many other functions that we can look at, and I'll use the same data set. Maybe I can undo and bring back my, yeah, there we go. Delete that. So sum, if you wanted to see the sum, let's change that to sum of all the individual score, you can either just, add them like that manually, which will be a pain if you have to do it, if you had a pretty big list that you needed to add. And by the way, what I've just done is Control D. Remember yesterday I told you guys that I can do copy and paste like that, or I can highlight the one I want to copy and the cells I want to copy to and press Control D and it'll do the same thing. I do it a lot. It's a very useful shortcut. Okay. But this was just manual sum, but I could have just done the function sum. And you see, as I type, you can see several other functions. Excel has thousands of options of functions that you can select. Okay. So, and to do that, you write the function and then you open your bracket and you select the number of cells that you want to be in that function, and you close your bracket and press enter, and you see it has done exactly the same thing. And if I do the same thing, copy down, now you see I have copied that formula on all the cells. And you see absolute, you see relative referencing in play as I just keep your eye on this formula bar. As I move my cell, you can see that the reference is changing because it's a relative reference. But if it was an absolute reference, it won't change, okay? So that was sum. And if I wanted to see average, I could just do that here. Average, the average function is just, well, average. And then as I did before, you select the cells, you press enter, and you have an average, right? And you can highlight all of them down, press Control D, and you see the average of all your scores, okay? And yeah, you may say, oh yeah, I don't like these decimals. You can remove the decimals from here on the numbers field. You see where you can decrease the decimal or increase them. You can just do that and they're all gone, okay? It's still in the cell, but it's not visible for you, at least for the report. So when you make reports, I'm pretty sure your boss will not like it if you gave him a report that looks like this, okay? So remove the zeros by doing that, okay? The other one was min max, right? So now you wanted to, if you wanted to know who has scored what is the minimum score in English, in math, you can do that by just typing mean. Mean is your function, and then you can select the math scores. Okay, close your bracket, press enter, and you see somebody scored 10 because it's the minimum score in this range. And for max, you can do the opposite, just type max, select the range of cells, press enter, and somebody scored 100. Okay, I'll just center this one as well to make it look nice. So that's it basically with functions. What you now need to know is how to know which functions to apply and what they are and what they do. One thing you can do to know a little bit about a function is if you see this insert function, this fx button here, if you click on that, it will bring up the function arguments dialog box. And here you can see some description of what the function does. You can see in this case that it returns the largest value in a set of values, okay, and ignores logical values and text. So it's only looking at numbers. And in this case, it says that the largest value in the range is 100, okay? And the other one also does the same. See here, returns the smallest number in a set of values and ignores the values, the logical values and text. And in this case, we have 10, okay? Oh, okay. Yeah. Any questions for functions? No questions? All right. So can any of you tell me any other function that you know about apart from these four I mentioned here?
What about subtotal?
Subtotal, yes, that's a function. Very good. Any other one? Here, if you go to the formula tab, you can actually see a lot of functions. It's called a function library, okay? So you can click the insert function. You can actually see tons of functions here. Yeah, you can sort them by, if you wanted to see functions for dates, you can click date and you see so many functions for dates, okay? If you wanted to see functions for maths, you can see them. Functions for those in finance, lots of them, lots and lots of them, okay? Text functions, yeah? Database functions, and so on. So play around with these functions. As I said, any function you select will, if you selected that function, for example, you can see it's expecting you to give it a year, a month, and a day. And then it also tells you what the function does. That the function returns a number that represents the date in the Excel date time code, okay? So if I said here, 2025, 05, today the 18th, day 18, you can see Excel has helped me to write my formula, okay? I click OK, then it just gives me today's date here. Okay, so these are all the functions, and here it's kind of grouped into the different, so database, the different types of functions, so logical functions, financial functions, text functions, date functions, and so on, okay? And even more. Engineering functions for you, this one's for you, Joe, okay? So there's loads and loads of functions that you can use in Excel. Great. Now, actually, I wanted us to take a break at 5, but we didn't start on time, so let's stretch it until say 5:15. Then we'll take a small break. Then the logical functions. So these are functions that does some kind of logical operation. I already gave you a small taste of it when I used the if function. I'll just hide this for now. When I said here, if, and you see it's so easy to write if functions, right? If it asks you for a logical test. Score, math score, is less, let's use the less than, looks like I hit my passing score here. Did I remove it? I'll just say passing score was 50. So here, if, an open bracket, the score is less than 50, then, and by the way, for some of you, when you, on your computer, this might be a comma and not a semicolon. So it's a semicolon for me because of how I've set up my computer, okay? But I'm pretty sure that yours will be a comma. And this is just used to separate values in formulas, okay? So if that is less than 50, the individual has failed, right? Fail. Otherwise, the individual has passed. Close bracket, okay? So this one has passed. And again, if I did that, the problem is, yeah, okay, this time around, I just typed 50 here, but I should, in fact, reference the cell. And don't forget to do the absolute referencing by adding $sign there, okay? $sign. One fast way to add the $sign is just to press the F4 key on your keyboard, okay? So if I press F4 once, it just pretty much adds it for me. I press enter, highlight all, Control D, and I can see, so this here is conditional formatting. It's not conditional format, it's a logical function. It says, if this logic is true, give me this. Otherwise, give me this, okay? So value if false, value if true. Logical test, value if false, value if true. That's how if works. Any questions? If you have questions, don't be shy to ask, huh? That's why I'm here. All right. And the next one is the other logical functions and an or. And for that, I have this little, what we call a truth table here. And I'm just gonna copy it into Excel so I can explain it. I will use this one. Logical functions. Okay. Yeah, it's showing like this because the cell is not wide enough, so you can just drag like that, or you can highlight all of them and double click and it'll automatically adjust the width. Or you can highlight and just drag it a little bit. All right. So let's look at, let's start with and, okay? So I'm gonna hide these ones for now. Hide. I will, so can someone, if you really know and tables, it's kind of like English, right? If something is true and the other thing is true, then it means everything is true, okay? So think of this as the result, okay? But if the first thing is true and the second thing is false, then you are lying, it's false, right? That means for you to have a true when you are using the and operator, you all the conditions have to be true. Okay, so true, 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 false gives us false. False, true gives us false. False, false gives us false. So for true, there is only one condition, one scenario where we can get a true. But it's not the same for the or. Let's look at or. Let's hide this one. For or, if the first condition and the second condition is true, then the argument is true, right? And if the first one is true, or the second one is false, because it's an or, that means at least one of them is true. As long as one of them is true, it will still be true. And the same thing, if the first one is false and the second one is true, but we have at least one true, then it's true. But if both arguments are false, then I'm sorry, it's false. Okay? So for the or operator, you can only get a false when all values are false, and you will always get a true if any of the conditions are true. Okay? And not is just the opposite of true. If it's not true, it's false. If it's false, it's true. Okay? But actually, forget about not for now. It's not part of the scope of this. So let me give you a real life scenario where this is going to be important. Let's say, let's come back to our data here. Where is it? This one. Let's say I will delete these status, okay? Now you have to follow me very closely here. Let's say if the guy has passed math and English, then he has passed. It doesn't matter if he failed science, right? And let's say, yeah, can we do that? That the only way you can pass if you had a passing score for math and English, but it doesn't really matter if you failed the last course. Let's see who has passed here, okay? So I'm going to be using the AND operator, okay? So I'll say, again, I will just type AND here, okay? And that's how you do it. You start with the AND and then you open your bracket. So, and the first test is that this guy, Alice math score is less than, sorry. So we're checking for pass now. If the math score is greater than 50, then he passed, right? And also I want the English score to be greater than 50. I'm just gonna make this a bit wider. So you see, it's telling me that this is true, that indeed Alice has a math score that is more than 50. And yes, it's true because it's 85. And for English, it's also true because it's 78. So it's true that this person has both scores more than 50. But don't forget the absolute referencing thing. Actually, I shouldn't type 50 here. I should just reference. Yeah, there we go. Don't forget we have to lock G4 by pressing F4, okay? And enter. Okay, now I can highlight all and copy down. And you can see that some people actually failed. So this guy failed and this one failed. Why? Because this one failed math. Math is less than 50. The math is, of course, is 10. But this one, why is it? Because it's 50. And our passing score is 50. So in fact, we need to modify our formula to say it has to be greater than or equal to, because it means 50 will be fail, right? So let's just add the equal to sign so that we can have only one person failing, because this guy, yeah, he was just on the borderline. So if you don't add the equal to sign, it will say, yeah, the passing score is 51, in fact. Okay. So that's the thing, is that and operators and the logical functions, both conditions must be true for it to give us a true in the cell. Because if any of them is false, like in this case, where Clara has failed math, then it's false. That means this person has failed. Okay?
Sorry,
Is that
sir.
okay? Yes.
Okay, Clara failed maths. Yes, is less than 50, but the 88 for the English is more than 50. Why is it false?
Because I said and. I'm using and here. I'm saying you have to pass both. I'm saying you have to pass English and you have to pass math. But in this case, math was failed. Therefore, this person has failed.
Okay.
Do you remember when we used to do WIEC back in the days, that before you can get into university, you have to pass math and English, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that here.
Okay.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
and this is and, yeah.
so if in just a question, if we're using or, then the answer is gonna be true.
Let's
Or,
see. Let's do the same thing using or. Let's see. I'll do the same thing. So if so in this case I'm using or, right? Right. So logical test 1 is, did Alice score greater than or equal to 50? And don't forget to press F4 to lock it, right? And the second condition is English has to also be greater than or equal to 50. Now, the difference here is I'm using or, and I'm saying one of them at least. Remember the truth table? Where is it? Where is my, yeah, this one. I'll just bring it close. The truth table says or, when you are using or, that any of the conditions if any of the conditions is true, then the outcome will be true. But if both of them, you can only be false if both of them are false. Let's see. So if I copy the formula down, you see everybody, in fact, passed here, because everybody has at least passed either math or English. But let's say Clara, for example, scored 30 in math, in English. Now you see, it has changed to false, because you can only be false in the or truth table when both conditions are false. Okay. Does that make sense, guys?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay. So any questions for this one? Okay. Now to make it look more real life, okay, because what you want to see is pass fail, not true false, okay? That's where the other concept of using nested formulas comes to play, okay? Nested formulas. Let's see. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here. Now, nested functions. I'm going to say, okay, I have true here, but I don't want to display true. I want to display pass, right? Now, I want you to imagine all of these as one thing, okay? One thing. And say if. So you see, I'm starting the function now with if this one thing, okay, is equal to true, right? The person has passed. Else, the person has failed. And you see that this person has passed. What have I done here? I have done what is called function nesting. So I've used a function here and to do the first operation, and I've also wrapped it around an if function. So I'm kind of combining functions together to help me make sense of my data. And if I did that, then you'll see that this person has failed. And the same for here. If, and remember I said, consider that this is just one thing. If this thing is true, then the person has passed. Else, the person has failed. Oops. Looks like I missed one of my brackets. Which one? You have entered too many arguments in this function because, yes, this was supposed to be equal. So if that's equal to true, pass, else failed. And now it works. Okay. And if I do that, now again, you see that this person has failed. So here, again, as I said, consider that this is just one thing, okay? So if this thing is equal to true, then pass, else fail. It's really simple. So this is how you use logical operators, if, or, and to make some logical sense of your data. Any questions, guys?
Clear.
Very good. I propose we take a 5-minute break just to stretch your legs a little bit and drink some water. And we'll come back at 5:20. See you.
See ya.
All right.
All right. So now we're going to be looking at another set of functions, okay? These ones, we call them text functions. We have just seen logical functions, okay? So let's see text functions in action. I'll just do another page for it. Text functions. And don't worry, I will, oops, do I have something? Ah, yes, very good. Okay. Text functions too, because I need to show you some examples. All right. Just bring it down a bit. There we go. So let's say I have a list of names, right? And by the way, this is just, I just left this here for you to see a lot of different kinds of text functions. So, and by the way, I'm going to share with you this Excel sheet so you can have things to practice with, okay? So let's say names and, yeah, just names. I will start with my name. Let's say we write Joe. Remy, what's your other name?
Maria.
Maria. And
Waziri Dina.
Waziri Dina, like this?
Dinah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Gloria Adele.
Yeah.
Chi Iyare.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Now we have a lot of Iyare.
Florence Nketa.
Okay. Very
I
good.
don't know if Promise is here. Promise, what's your surname? So we can just add everybody here.
It's okay. no, never mind. So let's see some of these functions. Let's see the first one, left. So what the left function does is it takes the number of characters from the left. Let me just make this a bit bigger so you can see. Yeah, it takes the number of characters from the left and just displays it. Okay, so if I wanted to see on this text, I type first left, okay, of this text, and you can see here it's telling me left text, and then it says how many characters. If I want to see 2 characters, for example, so it means I want to see only I and F. I close the bracket and I press enter. Look at that. It's showing me only I and F. And if I do that, if I move down and I hit Control D, you can see it has given me only the first 2 letters of each of the names. And that's what left does. It just takes the number of characters to the left of the text that you have selected. If I make this 5, now you see it's showing 4 letters, but that's because there is a space in between. And Excel also considers the space as a character, okay? So that means it's gone IFE space N, 5, and it stops there, okay? And if I did the same for all, then you see it returns the first 5 characters, okay? And that's what left does. Right does something similar, but you guessed it right, from the right side, okay? So I do equal right. And again, that text and the number of characters from the right this time around, I'll use 3. Okay, close the bracket. And you see it takes the last 3 letters of my name. And if I did the same for everybody, then you see it's giving us only the last 3 letters of their names. Okay, now it's taking it from the very end, not only the first name. You see Joe is just U, because I hope I didn't murder the spelling of your name, Joe. But that's
No, it's okay.
All right, great. Now, mid does something similar, but this time around, it does it from the middle, right? And it just pretty much takes the characters in the middle according to what you have defined. So if I said, I want mid of my name again, starting from, let's say, position number 5, okay? And it's asking me, you start from number 5, but how many characters do you want to display? Let's say I want to display 3 characters. Now you see what it does? It has just displayed NKE, because what it did is it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th letter is N, which was my start point here. And it displays 3 characters after the start point. So from the start point, NKE. So 3 characters are displayed. And if I did the same for all, you can see here it's starting with the space, because Remy is 4 letters. So it starts from 5, which is a space, okay? And it just displays space MA, right? And this one's also looking funny because it's starting with the 5th character, which is Y, and then there's a space and a D, and then an A, okay? And that's the mid function. Len tells you the number of characters in a text, in a cell. Let me just, so let's see whose name has the, so len is kind of a short form of saying length. So let's see how many letters are in my name. So len of my name. And of course, this one takes only one argument. That's why you see it's just one thing inside text. So 9, whose name is the longest? And the winner is Florence. You can see the number of characters of the names as they have been typed here, okay? So that's what the len function does. The find function tells you the position of a character, the first character when found in a text. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So find, let's see if we can find a K in my name. So if I say find, so it says find what? This text. Sorry, I'm finding a K, right? Within my text, and I want to start from position number 1. So I want to start from 1 and read all of the letters here. Let's see if we can find a K. So what we're doing, we're kind of looking for this letter K. And it says, yes, I can see a K. I'll just put this in the middle. I can see a K, but I can see it in position number 6. Okay. And let's see, there's K's in every, oops, these ones don't have K in their name. And that's why they have this error here. Okay. But there's a K in Florence's name in position number 11. And there's a K in Joe's name in position number 6 as well. Okay. And the search does something pretty similar. And again, remember I told you guys, you can see what a formula does. Yeah, you see as I type, it says returns the number of characters at which a specific character or text is first found, reading left to right, and it's not case sensitive, okay? So search is kind of like find, but it's not case sensitive. So let's see. So search that, search, let's do, this time around, let's do a capital. Well, let's do a, yeah, let's just do the normal K. Within my name, and we start from 1. So it will give us the same result as the find, okay? And this
Can
one.
I ask a question?
Yes.
You know, when you're done.
Find here, you see find is case sensitive, okay? So if I, for example, made this a capital K, it doesn't see it, right? And it will not see it in any of them because it is case sensitive. So the difference, they're the same, they do the same thing, but this one is case sensitive and this one is not. Go ahead with your question.
Okay. For instance, I have first name and last name in a different column. Like the first name, your first name is on A, and the the last name is on B.
Yeah.
But I want them to be together.
Yeah.
How can I do that?
We will reach that very soon. It's a function called concatenate. So we are looking at the text functions, right?
Okay.
So these ones are the first batch that we have just done. Okay.
Sir, please, can you explain the search? The search.
Okay.
I want to try to understand the difference between the search and the find.
It's just that one is case sensitive and the other is not. That's
but they perform the same function.
They do exactly the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And you can see that if you read the description of the function here, returns the starting position of one text string within another text string. Find is case sensitive, okay? And then if you look at search, it says not case sensitive, okay? So if you use the capital K here, then you get an error for find. But if you use a capital K for search, you don't get an error. You still get the number, okay? And by the way, when we don't only have to search for one letter, we can search for multiple things. If I search for IFE, for example, or let's say NKE, right? Or yeah, the full name. You see, it's telling me that in Nketa, it's starting at position 5. But if I did it here, nobody else except Florence has the name Nketa. So it's really good if you're going to be searching for, you're going to be looking for, analyzing your data to search for some kind of patterns in your data. Okay. Very good. Then we go to some other functions, these ones are called data cleaning and formatting functions. They are also text functions. Let's look at them. I'll just copy them to the other sheet. Let's put it here. Or maybe put it, yes. Copy. Just so I can see it. So, and I will move these ones away for now. They're still there, they're just on the right. Remove the background from those. So let's see trim. All right. So the trim function, what it does is it removes any, well, the description is here. It removes any white spaces from both extremes of the text. Okay. So if I had, let's say I had a space at the beginning of my name, for example, right? So there's a space there. But if I trimmed it, you can see, let me make it obvious. I'll just add more spaces here. You see what's going on? It's saying, this data is not very clean because there's white spaces in it. So it just pretty much removes the white space and just gives me the text as it is. And it does that also for spaces on the other side, right? Let me show you, if I wanted to see the difference, if I looked at the length of this text, and remember what length does is it tells us the number of characters, right? In this case, it's 16, right? And that was for this one. But if I looked at the length of this one in this cell, you'll see it's 9. So this is longer, obviously, because of the white spaces. But trim has helped us to delete all of the white spaces. And if I did the same for Joe, you'll see it's the same because I added some spaces at the end here. But trim has just pretty much deleted all the white spaces at the end and just returned only the real text, okay? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
All right, and then we have this one, clean, which removes non-printable characters. So if I wanted to clean this, clean this one.
Sorry, what did you say clean does again?
It removes non-printable characters. So if you have a character, and let me say, if I had, I'm just trying to look for some kind of weird character. No, it's, what character can I use now? Let me say if I inserted, maybe some kind of error, right? Let's say, just a second. Let's say we have 1 divided by 0, for example, right? And I wanted to clean that. It still gives me the error, but let me think of an example. There are some characters, but obviously I cannot find any of the characters now in my keyboard, but there are some characters that normally will make your print look funny, and clean pretty much just removes them, okay? But I will try to see if I can find some characters so we can demonstrate that, okay? Leave that one for now, because I need to check my keyboard and find something. Then upper, what upper does is just to convert your text to uppercase. If I did upper of this, and I close, then you see all of the, I'll just delete the white spaces for now. Then you see that it's all uppercase. Let's trim all of these. I'll hide this one for now. Let me see if there is any special characters here. Yeah, no. All right. So you see now all of them are uppercase and lower. Who can tell me what lower does?
The same thing, or opposite.
Exactly. Yeah. So all of the text are now lowercase. And proper pretty much makes all of the first letters to be capital. So kind of like a sentence case. Proper. So proper, you will see that the I and the N, but looks like I already did that in the, but if I, for example, made this a small n, right? Keep your eyes on this, you'll see it still remains capital, right? Because I've made it a proper case, right? If this was small m and small r, and I just copy it all down, then you see it kind of just fixes the capitalization and makes, and this is more useful for names of people, where it just pretty much makes the name of the person capitalized, at least the first letters. Oh, what's happening? Everybody's leaving. There's only 5 of us here. All right. Is it because the class is too tough or what?
Are you sure it's not network?
It's
But I think
maybe.
one person, Val, left for a reason. He called me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. They'll get the recording anyway. Perfect. So that's so these are text functions. I will stop here. You can look at all of these other ones. Concatenate. Yeah, okay. Maybe I should look at concatenate and text join because you asked the question for it.
Yeah.
So for that, I will just copy this data down here. Actually, I can remove all of this for now. So concatenate. So what concatenate does is it just joins, as the name implies, it concatenates 2 things into one. So let's say if this was, let's say, only first name, this was last name. In that case, I will just remove the surnames to a different cell. Okay. So if you wanted to, your question was.
Sorry, sir. I
Yes?
think Remy is trying to join again. She
Yes,
just dropped a message.
Okay. Yeah. I've just brought, yeah. Okay. Remy, are you okay? I see you left. Are you following? Remy, can you hear
sent a
me?
message already, so talk to her later.
But okay. She's inside the meeting.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. Good. Okay. So concatenate basically just joins to 2 things or 2 or more things. Okay. So you can just do equal to concatenate. Concat or concatenate, they do this pretty much the same thing, right? And then it says this text. So now you start to select all the text that you want to concatenate. So I can do that and put a colon, a semicolon, and select the other one. and you see it joins. Actually, I have a space here, so I'm going to delete. I have a space after the name, so I'll just delete the spaces. Okay.
Talking about space, how can we try to figure that out? Because it's very easy for you to say there's a space here. How can we know that there is a space after?
Yeah, because you see, it's obvious that when I concatenated, I can see a space here, but I know that it's not supposed to be like that. Then I know that there is a space there, and I can just go and remove it. Okay. Yeah, I know it, but the thing is, all these things with time and with experience, you will get to know them. It took me a very long time, believe me, to understand all of these functions, but at least consider that this is an introduction, and then with time, you will figure it out better for yourself. Okay. All right. So now that I see that this is not exactly what I want to display first name and last name. What you can do is, you see, I'm concatenating two things. You can also concatenate a space. You see, and to do that, I can just put the, double quotes with a space in between. So I'm concatenating this with a double quote with a space with B11. And then it prepares my data correctly. And now I have a space on all of the text. Is that okay? And before,
sorry, sir,
yes?
what you just did now, I don't get it.
Okay.
The spacing.
Okay, I'll delete it. Now,
I understand concatenate, but just the spacing, yes.
Okay. All right. So now there's no space. How do you think I can solve this problem? Imagine I have a data set of 5,000 names. One way I could have done it would have been just to come here and put a space after my name here, okay? And press enter, and the space will be here. But you can imagine if I had 5,000 records, it means I have to go into all 5,000 records and try to put a space after each one to fix it, right? That's not efficient at all. The way to do it, just imagine concatenate is something that joins things together, okay? And what is missing here is a space. That means you have to just put a space in between the two references, between A11 and B11. And to do that, I can't just do that. I can't just do that and put another semicolon. I'll get an error, right? It just doesn't work, in fact. What I need to do to force Excel to make a space is to use double quotes, two double quotes with a space in between this space, right? So this thing here creates a space for us, okay? And now I have the space. So I can just double click on here. And if I had 5,000 names, all of them will automatically inherit that space. Still don't get it?
I do know. Thank you.
All right, great. Okay, so that's concatenating. And there is another one that's pretty similar to concatenate. In fact, I consider that it is better than concatenate. Well, it depends on the scenario. It's called TEXTJOIN, okay? It does pretty much the same thing, right? If you type TEXTJOIN, you see, the first thing it's asking you is, what is your delimiter? Meaning, what's the thing that is going to separate your data, right? And remember, when we did concatenate, we used a space, right? So in that case, I'll put a space here, just nothing, right? As my delimiter, and then ignore empty. So it's asking me if any of the things I want to concatenate is empty, should I ignore it, right? Or not? And in this case, I want to say yes, ignore it. Or I can also say include the empty cell, but in this case, I want to ignore it, okay? And then it's asking me, okay, now you can tell me which cells you want to concatenate. And I want to, and you can just drag like this. It's really good. You can drag it to say, I want to concatenate both of them. And then I close my bracket and press enter. And you see, it has helped me to concatenate, yes, but in this case, it took first the delimiter and has asked me if I want to ignore anything that is empty, and then I've just selected which cells I want to concatenate. And it does exactly the same thing. Now I'll tell you why I said it is better. Let's say we have a dog. I'll just put this like this, dog several times, right? And I wanted to concatenate. I want to do the two things, right? I want to have dog, 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 right? But I want it to be spaced, okay? The way I'll do it with concatenate is I'll say concatenate this one, but then I have to put a space, and this one, and then I have to put a space, and this one, and then I have to put a space. You see how many spaces I'm putting? I'm starting to be tired, in fact. And then this one, and then I have to put another space, and this one, right? Yes, it works, but you can imagine how many times I have to put spaces in between. But with TEXTJOIN, it's so easy to say, what will be my delimiter? Yes, a space, and I just have to do the space one time. And then I will say, yes, ignore any cells that are empty. And then I can select all the text that I want to concatenate. And I press enter. And you see, it does exactly the same thing. But this is a lot cleaner and a lot shorter because you just need to highlight you just need to select what your delimiter is and the cells, and Excel does the rest for you. So TEXTJOIN and concatenate, they do the same thing, but TEXTJOIN is better because you don't have to keep repeating your delimiters. Okay? Question? Really no question? This took me a while to understand. But if you don't have any question, that's good. All right. Now we go to some date functions, okay? It's all about functions and formulas mostly today. So create a new sheet. Who can remind me how I just made a very fast copy of this sheet just now? Anybody? You guys forgot already.
You had the control button and moved your mouse, or you press the cross sign.
So the way to do it is hold Control, click on the sheet, and just drag your mouse to the right side. And you see that thing on my mouse? It's trying to tell me it wants to add a new sheet. And when I leave it, then I have a new sheet. Okay? It's a really handy shortcut. All right, so let's use this date function, page 2. I'll just delete everything. All right. I think I have something here. Okay. Great. I have some date functions here. So let's, I won't do all of them, okay? Let's just do up to here. Up to here. Because of time. So today, by the way, there is a way you can actually copy, because you see what I did here with the text functions, how I put them on columns like this. If you wanted to if I wanted to do that without wasting my time, I can copy and right click and do what is called transposing. And I'll just quickly copy those headings And now I have them up here, okay? So let's see, let's see some examples. So for today, well, it's just as easy as saying today, right? And then, but in this case, you make an open and close bracket because the today function does not take any arguments, okay? And it just automatically gives you today. And this one is very useful if you were making a daily report to send to your boss and you didn't want to, you know, every time, or maybe you didn't want to forget to type the date, then you can just use this today function here and it'll automatically return today's date for you. Now pretty much works with time. So it tells you what is the current date and time, but for date, you have no time, okay? So if I did, instead of date, I did now, again, it doesn't take any arguments. Then you see I have date with time in front of it, okay? And the date function creates a date from individual year. So what you need to do here is to select the year, so 2025, for example, and the month, in this case, we are in 05, and the day, today is 18th, and then it just makes a date for you. Now, you may say, why would I need to do that? It depends on the kind of data set you're working with. If you had a data set that had, say for example, in your data set, you had year, month, and day, right? But no date. So it can be quite difficult for you to know which, there is what, 18, to know which date when you have 3 cells to work with. So you can actually make your own date cell by using the date function to say, okay, you want the year, and you want the month, and you want the day. Close the bracket, and then you have your own date, okay? The day function just pretty much gives you which day that particular date falls into. So if I selected this date, for example, it's telling me that the day is 18. So how can I explain this better? It just extracts the day from the date, okay? Does that make sense? Let's say I wanted to change this one to December, for example, and it's the 25th. What do you think the day function will give me here? If I did that, if I press enter, what will I get? Can somebody tell me?
Possibly day of the week.
Which is, what will I get as a result when I press enter? I'll get the day in that date. And what's the day in that date?
25th.
Yes, I'll get 25. Exactly.
Okay.
So it just extracts the day from the date. And you guessed it right. What do you think the month is going to do?
The same.
What will I get when I press enter?
This December.
I'll get 12. Exactly.
12. Okay, 12. Yeah.
Very good. And for the year, what will I get in this case? If I press enter.
2025.
Exactly. Sorry, I selected the wrong one. There we go. In 2025. Okay. Very good. So in the real world, there'll be scenarios where you either just have the year, day, month, and you need the date. But there can also be scenarios where you have the date and you need the year, day, month, and you can use the year, day, month function to extract it. Okay. Make sense?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
All
Sir,
right.
is there a scenario where it provides maybe the weekday?
Yes.
Okay, say
Yeah.
Monday,
If
Tuesday.
you look here, I have weekday. So I have a lot of functions. I just did only those ones to. Let's look at the weekday function. So let's see. Weekday. What's the weekday of this date? And it's asking you, how do you want to return it? Do you want it to be, showing Monday through to Saturday or to Sunday, as the case may be? So actually, you're going to get a number back, but the number will be depending on the calendar that you use or how you want to use your number. So, in some countries, the week starts on Sunday, so day 1 will be Sunday, and day 7 will be Saturday. But in some other countries, like in the Middle East, day 1 is Sunday because their weekend actually is Friday and Saturday. Okay, so these options are all here for you to make your selection. So let's assume that our day 1 is Sunday. That means our selection here will be 1. Okay, and press enter, and it's telling me it's 5. So actually, it's telling me that it's the 5th weekday of this month, of this week. So that means Christmas, which is 25th of December. If you look in the calendar, it will be the 5th weekday in that month. I don't know if I can carry my calendar to the other screen, but if you look in your calendar, just go in your calendar and select December 25th. And of course, if your calendar is starting from Sunday, then you will see that it's Thursday, which is the 5th day of the week. Question? Sorry?
Yeah, correct.
All right. So
is it possible to have the day, not the number, like it's a Monday? Is it possible?
it is possible, depending on the function you are using. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. So you know what? I'll give you that as your homework. And I think, yeah, I don't have it here. So go and figure it out. That when you have this, what could be the exact day? Okay?
Okay.
Good. All right. Yeah, let's go back to the slides. We are already past 6, and we have not even been through functions. Oh my God. Do you guys want us to continue with at least to wrap up formulas, or should we stop here and continue next week? If you want to continue, say yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can get you.
You want to continue?
Gloria, Remy.
Remy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Why not we continue tomorrow? I don't know for others.
Next week.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue next week then. So
Yeah.
we
We can
continue with
continue next, so we
VLOOKUP.
can just digest whatever we have learned today and yesterday.
Okay, very good.
Yes, it's a lot already.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's why it's an advanced class. So
Yeah.
you need to
Okay.
be very fast. Okay. So I'm going to share the videos maybe by tomorrow or next tomorrow. Okay.
Please
Hopefully,
do.
or
Yes.
maybe even tonight. I'll just look at it, be sure it's okay, and then I'll send it. Okay. And
I will appreciate it.
yes.
We would appreciate if we get it tonight. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to pull it out and send it tonight, okay?
Thank you, sir.
And I will also let you know what your homework will be in the WhatsApp group. And you can combine the first homework and the second homework, and next week, Saturday, let's look at how we have done, okay?
Well, do you need our emails for the videos, or you just share in WhatsApp? On WhatsApp.
Let me see, because I think it'll be too big to go in WhatsApp, so I'll probably, or maybe I'll just download the file. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess the emails will be fine. Just drop your emails on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right then. So thank you very much. I know it's a lot of things to digest, but that's the way it is with Excel. For you to be good at Excel, you have to really understand how it works. And believe me, it's only complex now. When you start using it, then it'll just be second nature and you won't have any problems working with Excel. Okay?
Thank you so much, too.
All right. So thank you and see you
Thank you
guys.
very much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
sir.
much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you on
Thank you.
Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
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 All right.
Yeah.